Hi, I'm Margaret. Now last week I left you with 2 baked coconut cakes, and this week we're going to decorate them. So let's just prepare a couple of things to make the decorating job easier, and we're going to start with some white chocolate pieces. And for this it's important to use tempered chocolate, but remember I've got an easy tempering chocolate recipe that you can follow for this. Only tempered chocolate will stay in place when it's set. It won't curl, it won't bend. White chocolate is notoriously difficult to temper, but with my quick and easy method, you'll get it perfect every time. I'll pop the link up here if you'd like to try it. So once you've spread the chocolate on the acetate, nice and thin but not too thin, once it's reached the stage where it's still soft but it has almost set, you know this because you'll be able to bend it still. And when you cut shapes into it, the shapes stay without moving back together. Then carefully roll each sheet and pop it into a glass. This can go straight into the fridge until it's set. Then when you're ready to use them, just pop them out and uncurl them, and they should break naturally where you've popped the cuts. Just give the last few a little snap. Next, to make the filling. Now I wanted to keep the white theme, so I found these white pineapple chunks. They're beautifully soft and sweet. They're also less fibrous than your regular pineapple. I just crushed these in a blender. We don't even need any sugar, so let's take that away. Just a little bit of corn flour in a splash of water. Give it a good stir. Then we need to mix these two together in a pan, bring them to the boil, and then simmer for just 5 minutes so the corn flour can thicken the filling. Let's just give it a good stir. It will need to cool, of course, so let's just pop it into a bowl, cover it and pop it into the fridge. Now everything is ready, so let's trim the cake. Now you can of course leave the caramelisation on this cake, but so that it stays white for this particular recipe, I'm going to trim this off. And I'm using an ordinary bread knife to take just the caramelisation and no more. Bit by bit, scrape it off, and you should reveal the white cake beneath. Then pop it over and do the same with the other side. Don't forget you can reuse these little bits. You can make them into truffles perhaps, or stir them into the jelly when you make a trifle. That's really nice. For the sides, you'll need to find something round in the kitchen that's just smaller than the cake itself, and use a little paring knife to trim those edges. Slowly and surely round the edge to make it nice and neat. Then just rub the edges lightly with your fingers to round them off. There we go. Do the same with the second cake, then we're ready to fill. I'm going to start with this lovely whipped almond cream. I've propped the amounts down below that you'll need for this, but it's so simple. And just pop little bits around the edge. This will taste great and it'll help that lovely pineapple filling to stay in place. Let's pop that in the centre too. I'm going to use plenty of it. I want this cake to be beautifully juicy. A little bit more cream, because why not? And pop the top layer on top. Now there's plenty of cream left, so I'm going to cover the whole of the cake with a thin layer. Doesn't have to be smooth at this stage, it just has to be covered. And I'm not going to use too much because I want to keep the balance of flavours. I don't want to make it too creamy. So over the top, around the sides, and then a little bit more on top, because I'm going to make a pattern on the top of the cake. Then I'm going to whiz around the edges just to keep it as a circle. And quite a nice way of making a pattern on top is to run a spoon around while the cake turns, making the spoon go further and further into the centre, slowly, slowly, and it makes a nice little swirl. And for the edges, a little bit of desiccated coconut. This is best put on in small amounts, a little bit on your hand, pat it into the cream on the side. This is why it's important the cream completely covers the sides. Just to give you a side view, a little bit. Gently tapped onto the side of the cake. You could remove the bits that have fallen, or you could leave them as part of the decoration on the plate. Halved Raffaellos are a great addition to this cake, as they also contain coconut and almonds, some upside down, some this way up, and a few sliced almonds. Now to slice almonds yourself, it's best to heat them up in the oven. That way they slice much more easily without breaking. A few of those shards we made out of white chocolate, placed as you see fit. And maybe a few almonds upside down to show their lovely brown skin. And there we go. You can serve this cake just like this, or if you're feeling indulgent and you have a little bit of pineapple filling or cream left over, you can always add these on top. So I'll leave you there with a few final pictures, and thank you for joining me this week. Always great to have you along for a making and baking session. Take care now, catch you soon.